I am thrilled that I get to introduce our first presentation. MBuy has been a partner of Ad Age now at Small Agency. This is their second time here, and I'm really excited to welcome them and thank them again for their support. So please help me welcome to the stage MBuy's Vice President of Strategy and Analytics, Neha Misra.
Today's fragmented media landscape makes it more challenging than ever to reach the right audience and deliver successful campaign results. Who can you turn to tackle media planning and buying in this complex environment? Introducing MBuy, the every-channel media planning and buying partner for creative and independent agencies. Combining the art of content creation with the science of measurement, MBuy enables agencies to achieve campaign success for clients from Pinterest to print. Our proprietary every-channel management platform technology powers every step of the campaign lifecycle, from identifying and targeting audiences to real-time optimizing and performance visibility across every channel. EMP can even evaluate creative performance and integrate a client's key performance indicators to meet and exceed campaign goals. MBuy is powered by MediaOcean, the leading software platform for the advertising world, leveraging the technology stack used by the largest agencies and advertisers globally. Ready to experience the MBuy advantage? Contact us today.
Oh, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Like Jackie mentioned, we've been here about 2 years. I was here last year as well when we were in Miami. I'm sure some of you were. I met some of you last night, so thank you for joining us again. Last year we did not speak. We just sponsored, we observed. I heard a lot of agencies talk about how the industry had turned towards projects, how clients were engaging with smaller agencies for project work, and that's the way to go. So MBuy has been working for a lot of years with multiple smaller and independent creative agencies, for smallest to the biggest of clients. And we see a different vision, right? Because we just have the insight into working with all creative agencies across the country. What we see is there are project favorites, but every brand you work with also has an agency of record. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I promise I won't make it too long. This is not an MBuy sales pitch. It's really just what I observed in the last couple of years, the other conferences I go to, the creative agencies we partner with, and why we do what we do. Okay. Sorry, I just needed a clicker.
It's right on the table next to the water bottles.
Oh, got it. All right, so, I'm sure a lot of you have probably read this, heard this. I've been more than a decade in the industry now. I started with planning, buying. I'm a lot into analytics because it's not just the way to go, it's just that proves the value of all the marketing we do, right? So if you're going to get value of an impression, you need to make one, right? Creative agencies have done that for a long time, but I think it has not been any more challenging. It's just getting more fragmented, more challenging. The biggest challenge we have right now, like agencies, media buyers, media planners, analysts, or platforms, the biggest challenge is we are grappling to find that one moment when this distracted consumer is going to pause, react, and connect with a brand, right? The right place, right time has never been more challenging than it is now, and we live that every day and in real time. Consumer expectation hasn't changed, right? The technology hasn't become so complicated because humans don't adapt. Humans adapt. They love trying out new things, and what works for them, they just continue using it, right? It creates more fragmentation over and over again, but the expectation hasn't changed. The consumer still says, know me before you start advertising to me. A part of the knowing begins with the process of creative thinking, right? The creative strategy that all the creative agencies do. But the other things, you need to know that the medium I use to research is not the medium or channel that I use to buy, right? There are certain moments of the day I'm most receptive to advertising, and I know what I'm receptive to, you're probably not receptive to the same thing. So how do we get to that knowing each of the consumers, each of the segments that you're trying to advertise to as brands, and what are my preferences, right? My cultural preferences, my emotional, my sentimental triggers are different than a lot of people in this room right now. Finding me, so after you know me, you got to find me, right? I mean, am I at school? Am I at work? I do not check my phone at work. I do not receive advertising at work. There's just no chance. I'm in meetings all day. But what's my interest, right? Do I buy offline? I love going to the grocery store still. I have friends the same age who order everything on Amazon, even their groceries and toilet paper, right? I'm not the person though, right? So our preferences, even being very similar profiles, is drastically different. Finally, amaze me. So you know me from a creative standpoint, you know what my trigger is emotionally, you know what I would respond to, react to, you know what time I should be receptive, finding that right moment, but amaze me, right? Keep it personalized. Don't treat me like any other 40-year-old and saying, well, okay, this is a message that works for most 40-year-olds, this should work for Neha. It doesn't really, right? That's not what amazes me. Something that's genuine amazes me. Something that's served in a way, I mean, I'm not going to, you know, if you serve me thousands of impressions, my maybe is not going to turn into a yes, right? That it doesn't work that way. And evolve and change. I evolve and change because if a brand's marketing strategy or creative, it remains static, you're saying that the consumer doesn't evolve, and that's not accurate, right? Sounds very complicated, right? We've been dealing with it for a lot of years. Our parent company, MediaOcean, is a software company, but MBuy combines, like we said, we combine the art of content creation with the science of measurement. It is beautifully simple with the right translators. I've always talked about data. It is simple. I know everybody talks about big data, everybody talks about convergence, but it is really beautifully simple. We have the right translation. I've just broken out the process in 3 very straightforward, simple steps. We have creative agencies here today, which are the motivators, right? You find the emotion that is going to trigger a reaction. That is the big idea that a brand wants when they're launching a brand or launching a new product, etc. Moving on to media and data and technology, what MBuy does is the navigator and the executioner of it. Moment-based, right? Like I said, finding the right moment when I'm most receptive to, the kind of message I'm most receptive to, the stage of consumer journey I'm in right now. Maybe I'm just starting to research something, right? I will not make my decision. You need to know what the time frame of making a decision is as well. You know, it's very unlikely that I will see a display banner ad the first time ever that I've never heard of a brand, and I will go and buy something. That's not how humans work. Technology is great. Like I said, it's the enabler. That's personalization at scale, and that's how MBuy has used it. We are finding the right moments. We find it in real time. We have creative agencies we get data in from. We take audience signals right into our platforms, and what we do is gauge it in real time and tweak it in real time according to the consumer's own journey. Like I said, all these 3 have to converge. Convergence is not about convergence of just media channels. I mean, that's natural. Humans will adapt. There will be technology. It will never stop. So if we have to fight that challenge, the creative and media convergence should have happened yesterday, but we're still talking about it right now. All right. I mentioned the beginning of this presentation. Last year when I was here, a lot of agencies, there was even a panel, we talked about project work, and we see that too. We saw that. And I thought that was interesting because I think about 60% of the agencies, like we have a AOR business, right? We have creative agencies who have AOR business, and we've grown them in the past, like let's say a couple agencies in the past 4 or 5 years, we've grown by 400%, and I know that's a big number, but when a brand finds you and knows that you are doing something that is right and they haven't experienced that before, it really becomes a true partnership. We are no longer a vendor at that point. We become true partners because we not only understand media and marketing KPIs. I am talking about when a CMO walks into a boardroom and he's asked, what did marketing do to the bottom line? The CFO is asking, why should I give you more budget next year, or why should I retain your staff? Right, those are questions we have been able to answer with the conversions that we work with our partners on. So relationship truth, client perception is reality. Agencies will never get a second chance to make that first impression, right? Any brands that you work with, all of them have project favorites, and they have agencies of record. We work with similar brands, right? They're all expecting seamless execution of creative, media, and reporting. And reporting is not only engagement metrics or click-through rates from a creative that they're looking for. They're asking questions like, how do I know this led to the bottom line sales? Oh yes, I saw a 60% increase in volume, but what part of that is media? It's just my product is so great that everybody loves it. We all know marketing would have never existed if that was the case. And then, like I said, connecting marketing to business results. Agencies have to prove their worth. Like, we still think so, right? We are advanced in analytics and integration, connecting creative to audience response and all of that. We still have to sell or prove our worth every day or every week, right? There is never a day when we don't expect a question, we don't anticipate a question on why should I do this, or why do we do TV, or why do we do digital? So how do MBuy considers itself a smaller independent media agency, right? We are not a holding company. We don't work with bigger agencies. We really were built to serve the smaller independent agencies in the industry. Designing creative with different versions, and MBuy has data to prove it. We mine a lot of data across every vertical possible, billions of impressions, a lot of products, a lot of big and small brands. It's based on audience preference and behavior, and we can show you that, right? If you have difficulty convincing your client why you should have these 5 versions of creative based on the segmentation that you see, we can help you prove that. And that's why our creative agencies have grown along with us over the past few years. So, I'm not saying choose us, but when you're working with a media partner, do use somebody who uses real-time data for segmentation. Data as it stands does get stale. People evolve. So work with somebody who can use those right moments to personalize, and personalize at scale, right? You don't just want 10 customers, you want 10 million customers. So work with somebody who can do that, and can do that with the speed and scale that's required. And last but not the least, effectively translates that, right? Because if your media plan started a certain way and it ends the same certain way, that just means we weren't doing what we were supposed to do as an agency. I lead the strategy and analytics team, so it would be unfair if I left you without any numbers. So I had to have this one. 96% is the client retention rate we have with our agency partners, and the 400% increase in revenue that I talk about is coming from those partners with us. I consider myself a little bit creative because I've been gifted with the opportunity to work with a lot of creative agencies and teams, but we merge beautifully, right? The creative and media process, it's not just, we have a creative idea and then we throw it over to the media team and, let them figure out a plan. It doesn't work that way, really, right? You need to work before, during, and after a campaign together, and that's why you become a partner of the client and not just a vendor. Plus 77, all those agencies who do have net promoter scores will understand how high this is. I've been at MBuy for a little more than 3 years. I've worked with some of the biggest companies. I have never seen anything close to a promoter score like this. So that's the one we have with our creative agency partners, and we do a survey every 6 months to make sure that we are on the right track. I know we were at plus 31 when we started. This is like 3 years in a row, plus 31. Then we were at a plus 51 last year. Now we're at a plus 77 in the first half of this year. I definitely want to hit a century. Really tough, but we'll try to get there. And talking about real time, I talked about less than 60 seconds. That's the time MBuy takes to pull in audience, media, and creative insights. Consider MBuy as the magnet. It will attract every audience response or audience signal or creative performance reaction, right? Is this color better or that color? That's great, but identifying those moments in real time is important because humans are reacting in split seconds. So that's when we have to make a change. We make changes in real time to keep in sync with that personalized message to the consumer. And parting thought. I think first I did ask a few people at MBuy to give me feedback, and I thought hallucination was a rude word, but I think sometimes it's just, better to say it out there. Vision without execution is a hallucination. I didn't say it, Thomas Edison did, so I'm in the clear. But I think that's my parting thought, that you could have the best creative in the world, you could have the best media team in the world, but if you're not converging together before, during, and after the campaign for continuous improvement, it's really a lost cause at that point. So, converting projects to AOR, we work with creative agencies. If you guys have any questions, we're here. 4 of us are here. You'll see MBuy around a lot. Feel free to reach out to us, and I think each one of you have a key. That's not to unlock all the secrets of Convergence, but you will find more about what we do and how we do it, and please feel free to contact us. Thank you.